happened? Yay! We're live.
Hello.
Hello, beautiful humans. We're live streaming Teach Jen something about Autoshow with Anthony and AJC Web Dev, who
That's
has
me.
been probably one of the people that have been on the show the most, I think.
Yeah, this is at least my fifth or sixth episode at this point.
Yeah. So it's definitely you're an OG at this point.
I feel like
I
you're
think
an
you will.
OG at this point.
I know, right? Like I've done, oh God, I've been live streaming for over 2 years now. Where did these 2 years go? What
I mean, at this
happened?
point, so think of it this way. At this point, you've been streaming about as long as I've been streaming when you started.
That's weird to think
The
about.
student
But you're
becomes the
right.
master.
That that is very weird to think about. And yeah, it was because of you and Carmen that I started live streaming. So here I am. But yay. And going full circle, we're working on a project together. Well, you made a project and I just told you I
Well,
was
you're going
doing
to be the
it.
first contributor. Like, literally, no one else has pushed a single line of code to this except me. I've been building it for like a year now, so it's cool, and
Oh my
it's fitting that you would be like the first person to contribute because I was like one of the first people to contribute to Teach Gen Tech. So
That is
that's great.
true. That is
Cool.
true. Yay. So, do you want to tell us what we're working on and show us the goods? Show us all the cool
Yes,
things
yes. I'll
about
explain it
Auto
just
Show?
briefly, and then we can screen share. I want to first kind of explain the story, how I got to this, because I built this for myself originally as a tool for working with my podcast because I had a tech podcast called FS Jam, which might be coming back soon. And we had like 100 episodes, and I wanted to, so I figured out that I could do transcription on them for free now with Whisper, which is something you've used. I actually came on the stream to teach you Whisper a long time ago. And that was when I was using that tool and I was running lots of transcriptions on lots of stuff. I started to use those with ChatGPT and then Claude to create like outlines and summaries of the episodes essentially. And I wanted something very simple and basic. I just wanted like a one-line description of what is the episode about, and then a longer one paragraph description that kind of explains the topics that the episode is about. And then I want chunks of what are the chapters, like 6 or 7 chapters for an hour length podcast roughly. And I was able to get the tool to do that in a way that, it the writing is kind of bland, but it's gets across what the conversation was actually about in like a very objective way, kind of. It's kind of like if you had like a fly in the wall, like listening to two people having a conversation and they're like journalistically trying to describe it in like the most neutral way possible. So I found it was very interesting. And then I started showing it to people, and everyone I showed it to was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! This is like super cool. This is super useful." And people started telling me I should like make a product out of it and like charge people for it. And I've started. My wife Jennifer, she has some clients who create lots of video content because they do lessons or like spiritual direction type stuff. And so I've even like started generating stuff for them for like when they do workshops and things like that. So I found out I could do this, but then I was like, okay, there's a lot of steps, and it took a lot of work just to like get a single show note. Because I would have to first transcribe the episode. I would then have this huge chunk of text. I would then have to like write what I wanted it to be. So eventually, I eventually found a way to describe what I wanted to it and gave an example of it in a markdown file, and then it would start to consistently give me the same thing. So I was like, okay, I need to save this prompt because I can just take this prompt and stick it in front of any transcript that I've generated and then feed that entire thing to ChatGPT and it'll give me the show notes. But then I was like, okay, but what I can really do now is because these LLMs have APIs and because you could, have just code, do each of these steps and line them up. I was like, I could create a Node CLI JavaScript. So I wanted a JavaScript tool. So I created a Node CLI that would create a pipeline that you would just feed it a YouTube URL and it would run the transcription, stick the prompt in front, pass that to the LLM, get a response back from the LLM, and then put the response in the show notes. So then I expanded out so it could, work for more content types and RSS feeds. And I add a whole bunch of different LLMs, like 7 LLM providers. And there's 2 transcription services. There's a whole bunch of different prompts. And so, yeah, it just kind of expanded out from there. And there's now a very, very rudimentary front end, which is going to be the thing we're going to be really building over the next couple of months. But today, we're just going to kind of go over the repo because I did it all open source. I've been building this entire thing live on GitHub. At this point, I've closed 46 PRs over the course of, let's see, since May 21st. And yeah, so it's been a substantial. How many commits is it right now? But probably a couple hundred by now. It's got
And I just put into the chat
293 commits.
For myself of we need a graphic that you can show to people of what it does, because you said a lot of words and I followed.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, and
but not everybody will.
Yeah, right. And so I describe it in more layers of detail, usually for people who can actually understand all the steps, because I had already shown you Whisper, which is like a really key part of it, and you've used ChatGPT, which is a really key part. The real thing is cool that we're gonna be able to do is with the front end, you just have someone basically like give a link and they click a button, and then they're gonna get it and it's gonna give them like the thing, and then you can see it. So that's, I think, kind of more useful. But you're right, I need like a diagram that breaks down the 5 steps. So you should actually share my screen, and then I'll show some code real quick.
Bam.
Okay. So there's
and
really
zoom in like a million.
Yeah, I want to just first get a command running, and then I'll zoom in more. Hold on. Let's do this. So there's
just to wrap back around really quick, I do want to say that something I was laid off of my job back in October, and something that I really wanted to get into was to be able to code and develop more, and also level the content that I'm making, because live streaming is 2 hours of content and it's not always the most accessible for everybody. That when Anthony and I were talking, I was like, yo, this would be really cool if I could get like a draft of a blog. And yeah, so like it's become more magical.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna walk through each step. So there's 4 main things that happen. Is first, it generates a markdown file with some front matter. So if you're someone who is working with just like an Astro blog or something, this is really useful. So this was the link I originally gave it, and that link then gets run through Whisper to create the transcript, which I then kind of do some transformations on. That's not super important. And then those 2 things, the front matter and then the transcript, get added with the prompt in the middle here. So if we look at the output of the CLI, it says step 1, first it generates the markdown. So it created this markdown file. Then it downloads the audio, because it needs the audio for Whisper. So this is actually a fairly complicated part of the pipeline because it works with various different types of content files. And that is this WAV file here. And then it runs transcription. And then it does either LLM or no LLM. So technically step 4 got skipped here. So let me run this again, but then I'll do it with the LLM, because what you really want, you don't want this, because this you need to give to ChatGPT. So this is not really done, but you can see the prompt at least if someone is curious, like, how is it doing this? Like I just tell it what to do. Like I say, here's a transcript. Here's what I want. Here's how many words I want you to make each section. I want you to do chapters, and I explain how the chapter should be. And then I just write a show note and give it to it. I say, this is what I want. Give me this. And that's what it does. But this is not useful until you actually give it to the LLM. I'm gonna do ChatGPT. Hopefully my environment variables are in here. Can't remember if they are, but we'll find out really soon. So now it's gonna do first step 4. Okay, that might happen. Can you make it so I'm not sharing my screen real quick?
Oh, come on. You don't want everybody to have your environmental variables?
Dude, this file has my environment variables for like 7 services that I integrate with, so I would have to roll all of them. It would be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, hold on.
I will say, like, this is something, and I was curious, Aishan, I don't know if you saw my reply, if you've
Hey,
had a chance
Sean.
to look at Ishan, if you've taken a look at Autoshow. I promise I can talk today. Trying.
So
It's 1
Ishan was
PM.
the second or third person ever to actually see the output of Autoshow because when I first
Yay!
built it, I used it on his videos he created for his thing. So now we
Sweet.
see this is where the magic really happens. So
Okay, can I hit, share screen again?
yes, you can share my screen. Okay.
Done.
All right. So now if we look at the output for step 4 this time, it tells you what you use because I can do a ChatGPT model or it could be a Claude model, and then there's a specific ChatGPT or Claude model, and then there's a certain amount of tokens used. And this is really important because this is what decides how much you're paying for what I just did. So you pay per the millions of tokens. So this was like fractions of a cent to do this. This was like less than 0.01 cents, So it's really no big deal if you're using one of the cheaper models. And if we look at the output now, we can actually see what we got back. This transcript introduces the Full Stack Jamstack podcast, explaining its purpose and the relevance of Jamstack, a web development architecture centered around JavaScript APIs and markup. And then it gives you the chapters. Now, because I want this to be a quick kind of demo, it's really only 2 minutes. So it isn't really able to do the chapters, kind of to make up a chapter because there's not 10 minutes of content. But usually, if you give it something that's at least 10 minutes long, it'll be able to come up with 2 or 3 chapters. So yeah, so those are kind of like each of the steps of the pipeline. So there could be some sort of diagram or something that explains kind of each step and how they feed into each other. And that would be very useful. I'm not someone who's ever been very good at creating visual stuff. Like I was always really, really bad at drawing as a kid. And it's something that I need to get
It's
better at.
something
But
I enjoy doing, but then we have people like Damien that do it, like, on a professional level.
yeah,
So,
for sure.
we'll see. We'll see if mine passes the muster, and if not, he'll make it even prettier. But there's definitely a lot of cool things going on here. Can we see the front of site version, the pretty version,
Yes.
where we see it just the magic happen?
Yes, let's do that. Okay, so, actually, let me do this. Because that is in a state where it's slightly further ahead in the PR. So this is good though. So what I was telling you before we started streaming is that one of the nice things with the GitHub CLI is that if there's an open PR like this, if you click this guy right here, this code drop down, you can get
Oh,
GitHub
yeah.
PR checkout. And then if you grab that, um, then this will do the thing. Cool. So now I'm in the branch that I created, and we're up to date with that. So let me go. We have to install packages real quick. And the front end is an Astro site, and I got it basically working in terms of what I've been saying to you. So originally there used to be an Astro package and a web package,
Hmm.
and those are now combined into one thing.
Yay.
Okay. All right. So, and this is mostly just for the ease of me developing it. I haven't give a placeholder with a test in there already. This will I probably be blank when we actually want people to use it. But um, you can select your transcription service, and all of these will have like more explanations and stuff. Like this is like the very basic prototype of how to get it to work with the React front end, and then you can choose your LLM or not. So let's just basically do the same thing we did. And let's do
What do the questions do? Just like what questions were asked?
that's good. Yeah, so let's do that one actually. So this is gonna do is it's going to create like check for comprehension questions. Like if you're a teacher and you had a lesson. So here we go. So what are the three main components of Jamstack as discussed in the podcast? So JavaScript APIs, markup, the host define, the primary purpose of the podcast. What is the significance of separating teaching from informing? This is so funny because the very opening thing that you hear in the first episode is Chris saying, "What I want the podcast to be is I want to be for teaching and informing. Yeah, teaching and informing." And I said, "Like, well, what's the difference between teaching and informing?" And he's just like, "That's a good question. That's a really good question." He has no idea. That's really funny. That's the question they put in here.
I,
And
I
then who?
I totally skipped ahead to the transcript of, and
Mhm.
who are we? I love you. Okay.
That's a hallucination. That's because I used the base model instead of hold on. Let me make this actually be correct. That you never want to use the base whisper model. It gives you stuff like that. You gotta use large V3.
When are we going to add blog to this?
So blog is in this. I haven't. I need to add to the front end. The blog is
Okay, that's fair.
implemented in the back end, but I can
Okay.
actually probably. I think I could do that really quickly. But first let's just go back to yeah. So now it doesn't say
Oh,
I love you
okay.
anymore.
Very cool. And
Sister
then
goes, I'm gonna be a bit annoying. I just asked the question, what's the point of the podcast? Obviously, to me, is to teach, inform, teach and inform. And I say, how do you separate teaching from informing? That's a good question. That's a good question.
can it, so just random questions that I'm thinking of,
Mhm.
can it pick up speakers?
Yes. Um, it takes a really long time. Is the only bummer with that, but I think I can do it from here. So let's do whisper diarization. Let's do no LLM. So this could
And
take
then,
like 2 to 3 minutes, but there
okay.
is an integration with a Python package, which is called Whisper diarization. This is one of the biggest issues with Whisper is it's not built in automatically, but there's the paid transcription services, which also will give you that ability. That's something I need to spend a little more time with and build those out a bit more.
And then the other question was going to be, what's the difference between short, medium, and long chapters?
Yeah, so with those, let me go to the prompt file. So oh, wait, hold on. This is the Astro. So for each of the prompts, what I do is I have two parts to it. There's the instruction part where I tell it what I want, and then there's the example part where I actually write in the markdown example. And then when I put it in the episode, oops, it will basically put all the instructions on top after the first. This is the transcript, and then underneath it'll have format the output like so, and it'll stack all the examples. So you can kind of pick as many of these as you want. But to answer your actual question, the short chapters, I say that they should be maximum like 25 words. So you see here, it's basically like a one sentence description of what the chapter is about.
Oh,
And then
okay.
the
And does
medium
it,
chapters, you're going to get like 3 sentences that describe the chapter. And the long chapters, you get like a paragraph or paragraph and a half describing the chapter.
Okay. Um, I guess would it be when I thought of chapters, it made me think of like YouTube time codes, but the way it
So
like
all of
especially the
you get that in all any of the chapters. So if you do short, medium, or long, they're all going to have the timestamps in the chapter title. It only really affects the chapter description.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you
and
think
the so
it's
sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Continue. What were you gonna say?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. The last thing I was gonna say is that the gives you the timestamp because I in the example I have it formatted as it will be detected in YouTube. So if you copy paste the output directly into your YouTube description, the timestamp should work and it should then also create the chapters in because YouTube is just able to detect it. So they have a bunch of fancy magic in the way their description box works that lets a lot of that happen. But actually, I just built this last night. I had this brilliant idea. I'm on the wrong branch though, but it's okay. There's a script I created where it will read the timestamps for each chapter, use FFmpeg, and clip your audio file and give you each of those clips that correspond to those times. So if like
Oh, that's
you have
cool.
three chapters, it'll give you three audio files of each of those sections. And I will be able to do it for video too. I just have to make sure it works correctly with YTDLP. But yeah, that's something that I had this idea and I talked to Michael Chan about it like 6 months ago. And then I just like realized that like it just needs to be a script with FFmpeg because FFmpeg can just do all of that manipulation really, really easily. So that is going to be really cool because that's going to give me the ability to instantly create like all of the clips that I want for any content I've ever created, you know?
Nice. And do you think it's done with the speakers?
No, and this is honestly this is a huge issue with whisper diarization. There's something happening in their Python thing that requires it to take literally like 100x as long. And so it like
Oh,
it can
geez.
it's really strange. And I think it might actually be there's some sort of bug and I need to like upgrade to like a newer thing or something like that. I'm not really sure. I also need to just try other types of diarization, but the point is the open source way of doing this is absolute trash is the unfortunate reality, but the most people once they actually use Autoshow, the app version, are going to be using the paid ones anyway. So not as big of a deal, but unfortunately I can't really demo this right now.
That's fine. But it's going. It's going. I know that we had other things on our to-do list today, like
Also, real quick, since I can't show you the blog on the front end, I'll just do it through the CLI real quick.
oh, sweet.
Yeah. I'm just gonna cancel this actually. So you wanted to do it with the snowflake video?
Yeah, because he'll be back next week. So I for part 2, and I was like, that would be great to do.
This one.
Yes.
So this will probably take a little bit of time, but I just want to get it
Yeah. It's like
running.
an hour. Hey, it's a shorter one of my streams instead of 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, I think that should be all I need to do. Actually, let me just also have it do it with Claude.
And from what I understand is basically we're saying, "Hey, this is a video that's been recorded. Take a look at the make the transcript, take a look at the transcript, and then write a first draft of the blog." So, and a big reason I requested this is something I want to do to upskill my show and the content I create, but
Mhm.
also for myself, it's so much easier to get started on something that I dislike than a blank page.
I totally agree, man. I use LLMs so much just to generate a whole bunch of material, and then I like edit and change things or just like rewrite things entirely. But yeah,
Yeah.
having it just create and this is something that there's at least a 2 dozen startups and companies that are based around like repurposing content and like generating blog posts or generating marketing material and that whole kind of stuff. So like there's so many tools that do that. But the reason why I wanted to build this is because I wanted control over the whole pipeline, and then I wanted to build an app that would let people who are non-technical still have that level of control, but without needing to code. Because I think most people, they don't want these services that are black boxes that are just like, we'll give you, just give us your content, and the blog post will pop out. You know, if you have a better idea of like what is the prompt that you are using with the LLM, and then like what is the LLM? If you use a different LLM, what's going to be the difference with that? And I think people, can really benefit from like learning that stuff. And it's not a whole ton because basically you can kind of break it down and be like, here's your get good, bad, better versions, and just like show people. And so yeah, real quick, just something that will help when you're using this. This is kind of the tells you everything you feed it when you do the CLI. So I have the video, so is the video URL, and it's Twitch, so it works with different content sites. And then it has Claude set to true, so I pass it the Claude flag. If I told it which Claude model I was using, it would also say like Claude model and then give you the model name. And then prompt, you can give it multiple prompts, so it's an array. And I only give it one though, so it's just going to have the blog prompt. And then because I want to show what's happening here, I put no cleanup on, so all the files will not be deleted at the end. But this will probably still take another minute or two.
Um, Also just thought of a really fun name. Auto Campolo.
Auto Campolo.
Yes.
And then people will say, what's a Campolo?
Well, use the app and find out.
But using the app wouldn't tell you what Campolo means, though.
Yeah. um, but this, you did just give me an idea too of like things that we can make for Autoshow of like, if we do make it where people are just having like a drop down of, hey, why you might use a different LLM. Yeah, what is an LLM? But just having a short video of why someone might want to change it and what is
Mhm,
best for their use case would be
mhm.
really easy to give to non-technical people to read up on.
Yeah, and eventually I'm gonna have um, features where you can select multiple LLMs. So say like I
Mm,
want to have Claude and ChatGPT write a draft for this because that's actually I do this a lot myself because they're both very good, but they give you very different answers a lot of times. And will format
mhm.
things differently, and some will use lists more than others, and you can tweak all those things. But if you want, I'm gonna make it so you could just pick two, and then it'll just output both, and you can get like a side by side comparison. And then the real cool thing you can do then is you can actually have them feedback into each other. So if you had Claude, you could start with instead of having it write the blog post, say write an outline, have them both write an outline, then have them look at each other's outlines and be like, is there anything in this outline that wasn't in my outline? And then you end up with like an Uber outline that combines the two of them.
That seems almost never ending, that it could just go in an infinite loop of comparing itself to the other LLM.
Yeah, and at a certain point, you're gonna get like five versions of the blog post that are like all kind of like AI slop, and it's like they're all good, but like all equally inferior in a certain way. So there is a certain point where if you just are constantly feeding it content in and out and passing it back and forth, it will eventually kind of homogenize to something where they're just saying the same thing to each other back and forth. It's actually really
Fair
interesting.
enough. All right, fair enough. And
But
what
the last thing I was going to say is the feeding it back in is also useful if you want to get chapters and then say, actually, can you make these even longer? Can you create more chapters? Because even though you can describe in the prompt what you want, it will not always give you the exact same length and know how to like perfectly break up the chapters. So sometimes when I'm using these things, I'll create the chapters and then I'll give it a follow up prompt that basically says, hey, create more chapters that are longer. And it'll just like then look at the content, find shorter chunks, and then create more. And so that's a thing that I'm also going to want to build in soon as like a feedback mechanism, because right now it's just a one shot thing. You have the prompt and the content and you give it to the LLM, and the LLM gives you a response back. And there's no chat there. So it's just a one shot thing. But what I do when in my own life, I usually will have this give it to me with the prompt and I'll copy it and then I'll put it in like a chat GPT or Claude because then I can kind of talk to it and I can have it massage the output, but there's no way to do that right now within Autoshow, the tool.
Yeah. And we have a blog draft.
All right. So let me actually put in this nice formatting. Make it real big, Mac. All right. So it has 7 sections.
Beautiful.
Introduction to data warehousing, data lakes, explaining Snowflake as a unified data platform. See, this is great because you had an expert come on and do this with you. So
Hmm.
there's a base level of actual correct technical knowledge that should exist within this content. So this is like, this looks pretty dang good to me, just kind of skimming it, you know?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, and I like your feedback idea too, of doing it, is being able to feedback what you actually used. That's something that creepily makes my LLMs sound more like me rather than a robot. And I say creepily because sometimes I'm just like, oh, that's it's a little weird that it does that, but
Mhm.
okay. Um,
Yeah, there's eventually what I'll also need to have as a way to, because what you can do is you could have some just selections of your writing in your own voice that you could also put in the prompt. And if it's not too long, then that can give it a little bit of a flavor of how it actually wants to speak. There's also going to be a further level where you can create embeddings with like 100 blog posts you've written and say, here, use this voice. So that's one of the other things that you can create more customizable outputs based on your own voice as long as you have good samples and examples for what you want your voice to be. And then there's like
yeah.
various different technical ways to do that with the LLMs, but there's like three kind of general solutions to like do that. I'm talking
Um,
a lot. Do you have, you should let me know what questions you have.
no, 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 no. Like this is these are all things that it's filling in a lot of the questions. And I'm excited
Great.
to take this blog post and actually develop it and post it because it does a transcription underneath it, right? Yeah.
It does. And then let me just, I'm gonna just stick this in a gist real quick that I can give to you in a link so it will
Yeah.
continue to exist in the world.
Sweet. Yay. And that's where I'm like, and this is the cool part of also wanting to see it created for myself because then it gives me ideas. But like, this is where I would want something that even if it took longer and, um, you know, could I do it where it knew the speakers? Could I make it so that way the front matter is something that I selected? Yay. Are you going to post it as a comment? We're all going to get the comment. Will it send it to all of
Huge.
us? Yes.
And what I can
Fabulous.
also
I'll
do, I can put this in the Astro site so people can see what it would look like if you
oh, yay.
actually, let me do that.
Yeah. Examples.
Yeah.
You're giving me all these things that we need to make.
That makes sense because Twitch doesn't give you quite the same depth, and I still have a nice work about that. I know how to fix this though. Give me just 1 second.
Me and front matter, man. I feel like we're always arguing.
Well, this is not front matter. We're arguing with Zod and Astro's content collection schema, which is
Oh,
there for a
okay.
reason and is actually very useful. Um, expected type. Why does it want an object for cover image? That doesn't make any sense. Hold on. So this is the content collection. So for some reason, oh, this is when I used to do it where the cover image would have an alt text in the source, but that's not actually the thing. You just want a string and you want it to be optional. So let me do this.
Yay! At least didn't error out the same. Oh, no, just
Okay,
kidding.
so this is fine because now it's expecting the alt text, which I just took off. So oh, and this is when I had draft stuff too. Okay, hold on. And I have not actually used this in a long, long time. I think that's what I want. This is using the image component. Let me just do. There we go. Great.
There. Yay, that works.
Cool. So this is with the markdown actually rendered. So you see it has blog outline nice and big. You get your list, then your first draft, and then there is the transcript.
I will say for us, it would be nice if we could see in the markdown or something like what models were used so we could easily look at it and be like,
So
oh, this is what I used if I want to compare it. I put it on my
so
notes to write down.
yeah, yeah, no, this is great. The one type of feedback you do get right now is it puts the name of the model, not the specific model, but the model. So it tells you used Claude, but doesn't tell you used Claude 3.5 or whatever. And it would tell you if you use ChatGPT, but not 3.5. So it actually puts that in the file name, and then that gets translated to the URL. So it says here, teach Jenn Snowflake Claude show notes. And if I had it have no LM at all, it would say prompt here instead. But and then it would have the prompt, and you wouldn't really want that on your website. That would just be the name of the file name, which would be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yay.
Yeah.
We did it. I have homework
Did you
for myself.
want to walk through opening the PR, and I can have you
Yes. Okay.
do that?
Let me share my screen and stage. And okay. Teach me all the things. There we go.
Okay. So, do you already have it cloned down on your computer, or no?
Yes. Yes. So I will go into it. I think yeah. Oh my gosh. I keep trying to hit tab to finish these, but it's dash. That's like the arrow.
And then do git pull first, just so we're up to date. Great.
Are you submitting
And
anything right now? Will that
am I submitting
okay.
anything? What do you mean?
I'm gonna make my own branch. So it's not gonna try to
So
commit to me, right?
correct. Yeah, yeah. And that's what the whole PR process is for. So once you're up to date, and the other thing you can do is just what I do a lot is honestly, I'll just like nuke repos and just reclone them like all the time. So you don't necessarily want to do that with Autoshow because you have to download the Whisper model to use it. So the setup process takes a
Yeah.
couple minutes. So it is better to do this. But when in doubt, you just nuke it and reclone. But
That
do
I think has been like the hardest part is I've worked on all
mhm,
these projects by myself, but I
mhm.
just commit to the main branch because I'm like, if it breaks, it's my own stuff. I don't care. And I'm like, I haven't used PRs enough. Like it's not muscle memory.
Yeah, luckily it's pretty dang simple. So the one command that you really gotta remember is git checkout dash b and then the name of your branch. So checkout all one word, yep, and then dash b, just the letter B, and then space, and then let's call it contribute or contributor, one of those. Or actually, um, it's just actually just call it TJT because we're doing this on stream. Yeah, that's perfect. And then hit enter. Cool. So now you can
I'm on that
change
branch. It
stuff.
switched me.
So you should open this
Yay.
up in your editor, your VS Codes, and you
Oh,
just got
it's
to
so
go
tiny.
to the README, and it'll be in the main root, and
Sweet.
then scroll all the way to the bottom. And there'll be
Contributors.
contributors. Yep.
Jen.
And add yourself to the list. You can put whatever you want, your name, your link, your photo, all the
Oh
above.
gosh.
It's kind of up to you how you want to do it.
The pressure, man. The pressure.
I mean, the simplest thing is just do
Uh,
a dash and a space, and then do your name as a link, and then link back to your GitHub. That'll be the easy
mhm.
thing.
I don't know if you guys ever do this, but I will put both ways. Like I'll try to do the square brackets and then
Is this, so you want the
I go
square
back and
ones
forth.
first?
Yeah, I figured, but like I like to go back and forth and try one first and then see it not work and then go do the other one.
A
It's
lot of
really
times
fun.
I'll just start by doing squares and then parentheses, and then it's only the structure is already there, and then I'll write in what I want to write and then copy paste. So trust me, this is useful. So do that and then add those,
There we
and then
go.
yeah, and then you
But
already
this
have the
is what
thing
I
there.
go
Like
through
I just
every
need to copy
time.
paste. Yeah, there you go.
Host if do, 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 do. Uh, I have to I'm trying to make sure that they're all updated. And they are. They're almost all live. Shit to talk about isn't live yet. That's okay. It'll get there. Do I need to add anything else?
I think that's good. That should be fine.
People don't, do I need to put my GitHub? They'll find it
Oh,
through my website.
uh, no, this is yeah, that's probably fine.
Okay.
I'm thinking like it would be nice to because if there's gonna be a bunch of contributors, you want some like standard people to just plug into. But honestly, I'm not worried about that because they're probably not gonna have many more people contributing anytime soon. So there's really no need to worry about it. This is just fine.
And then I can go here and I just want to make sure that it's going to the right branch.
So the way you can tell you're on the right branch
Oh,
is at the very, very bottom left of your editor. Do you see where it
oh
says
yeah.
TJT? So that's how you know you're on your branch, and because it has a little asterisk next to it, that's how it knows you have changes to that haven't been committed. So first you got to stage it though. So you got to click the
State.
little plus. So hover your mouse over the README, like where it
Okay.
says README under changes. So hover your mouse over it, so then go over to the plus. Yeah. So that's this. So by clicking plus,
Oh.
that's the same thing as doing git add dot. If you're doing this from the CLI, because first you have to stage it, and now you can commit it. Because if you have multiple changes in multiple files, you may not want to stage and commit everything all at the same time. You may only want to stage some
Oh.
files and commit them. Yeah.
I like that I just have always just been like, yeah, it can all go. It's
No.
fine.
Well,
It's
so when
fine.
I develop for myself, I have a single alias GC that does the staging and committing all as a single step for all of my files because that's what I do. It's the simplest thing. You don't want to do that when you're working on a project that other people are working on.
Right?
That you want to
I'm
be
like,
very careful. And then publish branch.
publish
Yes,
branch,
that's
right?
all. Yep. And then now you have to go back to the actually click create pull request right there. That's exactly what you need. Oh, so you can do this. I never do this through here. I always do this through the github.com UI.
So we won't do it, but I'm well, I mean, I guess I could just do it again and make a different one so we can do both.
It's up to you. I mean, honestly, this is really better because that's the thing that always kind of frustrated me is I didn't like having to leave my editor and go to the site to finish the PR. So this is actually much better. I would prefer to do this honestly.
Set milestones, set projects, add assignees.
I wonder why my editor doesn't do this. Or
I don't
actually, I
know.
don't get the pop up because I probably have some setting that suppresses random pop ups telling me to do crap.
Um, magic. That can be the.
No, the description should say added Jen Janad to the contributors section.
But that's like the same thing
Actually,
up
sorry.
there.
This is this is the PR though. So the yeah, I guess really this is such a small thing to the README. Yeah, that's good. That's perfect. Yeah.
What I don't see is actually how to tell it
Yeah,
that.
me neither.
Uh,
So
oh, I guess maybe I have to assign it.
so hover over each of those five icons. So move your mouse, hover over each of those, and see what they say. Add assignees good.
Assignees, reviewers,
Labels, yeah.
labels,
Set
milestones, and
milestone.
projects.
Okay.
But I guess I would have to like probably assign it to you.
No, you don't need to assign it to do this because you just want to create the PR. It doesn't there doesn't need to necessarily be anyone assigned. And that's a good question. This is something that's very ambiguous in their UI right now. So hover over README again. Where it just says yeah. Hover over where it says commits, add contributors. So right down there, yeah. Oh,
I'm gonna make my screen bigger. Maybe it's missing a button. Um, no. I wonder if you have to add an assignee. What's over here? No.
yeah, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know. Like I
try
said,
it.
I've never done this to the editor, so I can't tell you, but I bet ChatGPT can
Added
tell you.
Oh,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. Create.
Yeah, because that's not a constraint if you do it on the website. So there's no inherent like you can make rules in your repo to say if you create a PR, it has to have someone assigned. You can make those types of rules, but I know for a fact mine doesn't because I've opened tons of PRs and never assigned anyone. So that's really interesting. That might just be a thing that they put in because they think it's a better practice or something. Oh no, that's weird.
Yeah, maybe. Ooh,
Yeah, so this is what I
compare pull
usually
request.
that's what I would usually do is that I would go there and I'd click that button, but you don't want to do that because you already created the pull request.
Okay,
So
so I'm in
you want
here.
to click PR, yeah, pull request and then check it out. Yeah.
Click it.
That's the one.
Merge. Yeah?
Okay, so I guess you have merge abilities. Let's see what happens. Click it.
You're like, should I?
No, I think so because I added you as a contributor and I have all the permissions open right now. So you should
Okay.
have the ability to do this. And this is one of the reasons why I was glad to have you here because I needed to put security stuff like this because I have like 14 security warnings on the GitHub thing because like everything's totally open right now. But
Yeah.
I would have to still add someone as a contributor. So if you were trying to hack me, if you phished me and I just like met you online, I'm like, sure, you could be a contributor. I gave you full access to the repo. You could have just injected code on everyone's computer. So that's why this is really bad security practice. But I'm not worried because I know I have a high level of trust in you that you're not going to put any
We
malicious
have
code
met
in
in
here.
person. We
Yeah,
have met in
exactly.
person.
Like you might push a change that'll break something. Like that's possible, but I'm
That
willing to
that is
accept
more
that
likely
risk.
than yeah. And then I can delete the branch when I'm done, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I need to add permissions so you can't do that. So what
Okay.
really needs to happen here is I should have to review and then confirm it and then it can be merged because that's really
Yeah.
what we want here is because when you're making changes and actually adding features or
I don't want to
fixing
be
bugs or
responsible.
anything.
I
Well,
don't want to be responsible.
you always just want a second pair of eyes, honestly. It's really useful. That's why I love having LLMs because I always have a second or third or fourth pair of eyes now, and they're much smarter than most of my friends.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I am a contributor. Wait, does it finally show me on the side?
Yep.
Why does it show this one too?
Because
I don't
that's
know.
probably what's connected through your editor. You're probably logged in through a different
Oh,
account or something. I don't know. That's
no,
interesting.
I don't know. Well, it's fine. It's on Teach Gen Tech, so might as well.
That's really funny. I
There you
wonder
go.
why
You
that
have two
happened.
contributors. You got the
Oh
show
yeah, no,
and
yeah.
me.
So no, yeah, no, I know exactly. Yeah, why I said. So if you look at the commits, you'll see that there's there's the commit and then there's the merge. So you merged it through your Gen account, but when you committed it it did through your Teach Gen Tech. So somewhere in your VS Code settings, you have some sort of default Git config that is connected to that, and it could be through your Git. It could be at very different layers, and it's always hard to tell now because your editor and the company are all the same thing now. They're all owned by the same people, so they're all kind of becoming one entity.
Weird. I don't know. Well, if it becomes an issue, I will fix it. But luckily, you know both of them.
Yep. Yeah, and I would imagine you probably wouldn't have been able to do the merge through the other account because that one isn't added as a contributor to the repo.
That's just so weird that it's
But I think it's probably because in your root file, there's a file called .gitconfig. You should see if you
hang
have
on.
that file in your computer, and you should do that off screen.
Um, I don't care if I show these repos really quick.
Yeah, I don't mean that. I was saying there's a config file on your machine that might have the
Yeah,
information. Because
but
what?
oh yeah, because
Mhm.
Teach Gen Tech is submitting all of these.
Yeah, any of the
Weird.
commits you're doing to your editor is going to do that.
Weird. Okay. Well, there's that. Okay. Well, that
Honestly,
skews my
I would
numbers.
just delete that account. Are you?
Oh yeah. Why not? No, I want to go home. Okay.
One
Well,
thing I would do though
there.
first is if you what you're gonna want to do, because this has happened to me a lot.
Oh,
I think if you take the email that is associated with that other one and add it to your Genjanot account, then when you delete the first account, the commits should transfer over, but they also might not. But it's type of thing that
wait.
unless you want to continue to have that thing committing forever and ever, it's you should better just delete it sooner rather than later.
Like it doesn't even have the right logo in there though.
So this is an org. This is an org. This is not an account. This is something different.
Oh, I don't even know why there's
So
an account then.
let me show you this. So what you really want to go to is you want to go to github.com/teachgentech, all one word, or yeah, I think that is yeah, exactly. So let me put this, yeah,
Oh, I know why
you want to
this
delete this.
existed. I know
Yeah,
why it exists. It exists because when I worked at the previous company, it wouldn't let me clone something. It would always push it upstream, even if I removed upstream. So I had to create a second account that wasn't associated with the company org so I could actually clone it for myself. And yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, easy enough.
Yeah,
I
so
can
you
do
should
this.
figure out what email is associated with this, and then make sure that's connected to your Genjanot account, and then can see if you want to transfer any of the repos over. But I would
Yeah.
just get rid of that account if I were you. It's gonna just complicate your life.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, anyway, on those notes, what else did you want to do today?
I just wanted to kind of explain some of the issues that I wrote, because
Do you want
s-
me to
well,
share or do you want me
let's go
to
back. I'll back to screen sharing. So let's flip
okay,
back.
sweet. Then off screen, even though you totally shouldn't be multitasking, I'm going to be figuring out how to remove that account.
Could you not actually? I would prefer, since I just
I
want
know.
to make this fairly brief, that you
I
actually like kind of
know.
listen, so you can ask me questions about what I'm going to be explaining. Because this is for your benefit right now.
I
I broke it
know.
down by difficulty. So the simplest one probably is going to be this guy. So I just created a couple new prompts that I want to add, and some of them I even like gave you the freaking code already. So literally all you'd have to do right now is just like copy paste this in, and you would have a new prompt. So I tried to make this very simple for you. This issue has multiple steps, so this is one that I was kind of saying I'm going to open draft PRs, or you could open a PR for this, and then I can create specific like bulleted to dos. Actually, let me just I can just do this right now. Actually,
I was
So
gonna say, why wouldn't somebody just do that in the issue? Why would they do it in the PR?
because when you do it in the PR, you can commit things like if you want to just do a single commit because I just added the short summary, you can commit it to the PR and I can check that that is correct and you can check it off so that you can do this in pieces because this whole issue it requires a couple different things. Like I could make a different issue for each of these things. I could say I can make an issue for create a new short summary, create a medium summary, create a long summary. That would be kind of ridiculous. So I'm trying to think of ways of what does it make sense to scope it as a bunch of kind of combined things, but then they might still be different individual commits. So that's kind of why I like having things in the draft PR because you can actually work on that. Like the issue is kind of static. So if I want to go back and update this, if I'm only halfway through, if I've only done some of these, then that work needs to be like saved somewhere if I'm going to be checking them off, you know? So that's why it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense necessarily for, in my mind, to have the to-dos in the issue. So is that can be correct? No, I'm doing this wrong. Wait, I know why. You gotta have the space. Yeah. Cool. Okay. And then this actually, the part below, I'm actually gonna break this out into a different PR because this is gonna be a bit more complicated. I want to add a flag that's gonna be print prompt. So what this would do is that if I wanted to select a couple of the prompts, like I wanted titles and I wanted a summary and I wanted check for comprehension questions, but I want to see what is the prompt with the instructions and the example. And I just want that and I don't want anything else. I just want to print the prompt. Right now, there's no ability to do that. So I want to add a flag to do that. But this should be a different issue. So real quick, open a new one. Okay, we're good.
Ta-da! Cool.
I still sorry, I still have the summary detail in here. Um, there we go. And then this is I also I kind of rewrote the questions prompt a bit to have it do. So what I've when this is one of the things we demoed before, it prints 10 questions, but what I realized is that you can actually have it generate 10 questions, but make the first five very simple beginner level questions, and the next five like harder, more like expert level questions. So I thought that could be an interesting kind of thing to add. So that's also another stuff. So basically I have new prompt options. So also you just don't even worry about this for now. These are each prompt options, and this I just wrote out for you. So there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tasks for this one.
So would you suggest, it sounded like you would suggest doing the PR and then doing them in pieces in the PR, even if it's in the issue.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I think is going to be the way to go. So you want to let me say this actually. Do you want to open a PR? Do you want me to open one?
Um, why not awkwardly watch me go through it so that way maybe it'll stick. So I'm gonna go to my screen. Bam. Okay. So if I go here, no, no. Okay.
Why don't we actually try this? Let's just open like do a new pull request. So go back to the pull request tab and just click new pull request. Yeah.
Oh, fancy. We want
Okay, yeah, so there's no changes yet, so this isn't going to work through this flow. So we should go back and do what we did originally and check out our branch through your
Okay.
terminal.
Um,
So first thing I would do is I'll go back to main because this branch doesn't exist anymore. You deleted it. So git checkout and then main.
now I'm just seeing if I guess
Yeah, we
run.
should do that. Say, how do I
No.
return to the main branch? Or actually, that's what you want. Yeah, git checkout main. Yeah, it gave you the answer.
Oh, why didn't it do that at first?
I don't know, but
Weird
that's
thing.
exactly what you want. Git checkout main. Yeah, cool.
Sweet. Okay.
And then
And
do
then,
git pull. Do a git pull before you create a branch. Yeah, because you had to get the changes that were merged from the TJT branch
okay. I'm
because
going to
those were
name it TJT
merged.
again.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's see if yeah. So I thought that might happen. So actually, then I think you can just go back to the
Oh,
TJT branch and do another git pull, and then it should be fine. You should still be able to. I don't think that'll be an issue. So actually, go back
oh,
to
I
that
thought we
branch.
deleted the branch. Yeah, the branch doesn't exist.
Oh, I know why. It's because it exists, but it only exists locally in your project. So there's a specific git command to wipe that branch so you can create a new branch. This is actually it's funny we hit this. I this is why I always name a different branch every time I do this. I always come up with a new branch name just to avoid this problem. It's kind of stupid because it's just a simple command that I haven't looked up to figure out how to fix this issue.
Oh, how let's ask how to delete local TJG branch.
Yeah, there you go. Dash D. So simple.
Deleted. All right. We are now going to create it again. And it
Look at
switched.
that. See,
Damn.
this is why that warp AI stuff
I
is actually pretty
know.
tight. Yeah.
Agent is really cool. I'm trying to get in the practice of using it because of like, why am I going to go like search everywhere else? Let me just see if Agent can be my
Well,
friend.
I have gotten extremely like good and better with CLIs and stuffs because of having LLMs. But what I would do is I would just always have ChatGPT on the side, and I would do
Mhm.
exactly what you're doing right now. I would ask it. It would give me a command. I'd run the command. I'd have this back and forth conversation. But now it's just it's in the terminal. You know.
Right? Okay. So we are going to this ish. I'm in the branch. I created branch. And then what do I do?
Yeah, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just walk you through how to make a change just by copy pasting a couple code, and then we'll have that. So first, just open your editor, and I'll just tell you what to do step by step.
Doop. You know what? I'm going to reopen it the way it is just to make
Yeah,
sure that
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
like just to make sure it's not using old stuff. All right.
Mm.
Ooh,
Okay, and can
what do I
you
have going on
um
here?
yeah, there's a couple. So just
Hmm?
close your windows first. Close all the windows.
Close all the windows.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, so go to SRC and then go to LLMs and then go to prompt.ts towards the bottom. Great. And then you have these different sections. So close your sidebar so we can just see the code. And then I think you could make sections kind of smaller. So hover your mouse next to 11, line 11, real quick. And then, yeah, so close that up and then do that for each of this. So close that up, close summary up. Don't close sections. You gotta leave sections open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
So
start with, so you don't go up. So start at titles
go down. Okay.
and just
Sorry.
go down and go one at a time. Yeah. So you just click tiles, go one at a time. There you go. Yeah, and just close them all up. Yeah, you got it. I think blog will be the last one. Great. Now stop. And now if you just add a space right after blog, so it's colon after the blogs, so line 139. So click at the end of that. Yep, and then add a line. Great, and now you're just gonna copy paste the code from the issue that explains the rap song. So go back to the issue in
You
GitHub.
need to be logged in to use this command.
I'm not asking you to run a command at all. I don't even know what that means.
Okay. I was just letting you know that it just said something.
No commands are being run right out of VS Code. You were drunk. Go home.
Computer, no. Why
So
am
it's
I
where
just
it
like,
says add more prompt selections. The
okay,
first easy
thanks.
to find one.
Apparently, I was looking for a much
Yeah,
longer title.
yeah, no, great.
So,
And so
rap song?
and just yeah, so just copy paste that whole thing. Yeah, and just plop it with the comment. The comments part of it.
Which is the comment? This is
Yeah.
the comment. Nope. Okay. Wait,
Well,
nope.
up one
Right
more.
here.
Yeah. There you go. And then add a comma also at the end. Great. Now save. And
It
then
auto saves. It auto
great.
saves is. Saves is. That's a way to say it now. Saves is.
And then I'm gonna put in an example command real quick in the issue also, so you can just run this. So I don't have to speak this out to you. Give me just 1 second.
For sure.
Just,
I'm really excited if Warp integrates with VS Code. Like, I think that would be legit.
okay, now. So refresh the issue. There you go. And copy paste that command right there. Let's see if it works.
It's thinking. So now I'm going to actually look at the command. Run as file content audio 3 prompt rap song. Okay.
Yeah. So open up your side thing again and
And it
go
would
to
be
the content directory. So scroll all the way to the top. Yeah, to
content.
content. Yeah. And just one of those two.
One of these.
One of those two.
These?
So click the first one. Click the second one. Yeah, there we go.
I don't think it did it because.
Actually, sorry. It should be audio prompt. Sorry, that was when we were first testing this while. So yeah, so this is where it is. Okay. So copy paste this
So
whole thing and give it.
really quick though, why
Mhm.
is this one not saying in the file name that the LLM or whatever we used?
So because we didn't use an LLM. And that's why it says prompt, because you can see the prompt is in there. There's no this didn't actually create the song. So we still have to give this to an LLM, but I wanted to see the prompt first. So
Okay.
let me the issue is you don't have any of the API keys to use ChatGPT or Claude from the CLI right now.
True.
Yes. Technically, you have Olama, but I don't want Olama to try as a terrible song. So just copy paste this into actually. Let's do this with yeah, ChatGPT should be fine. Do ChatGPT 4.0 and just copy paste this whole thing in.
Oh, into Chapid. Into let
Yeah,
me get it open. Hold on.
yeah. And we can go the extra mile and generate an actual song with Suno, but this will just show us the lyrics first of all.
There we go. Do 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 do. What can
Right.
we help
So
with?
great. So just copy
Paste.
paste the entire thing and hit go.
Framework fever.
You should bump up your text a little bit. All right.
Wow.
Yo, The mic ignites. I'm coding by candlelight. Spit insight sharper than a syntax fight. FS Jam, it's the fan where we conjure the slam. Future facing frameworks like they're in a diagram. Twisted pipelines, I'm aligning the stars. 2021 predictions, engineers on Mars. While the bits flip, scripts do into layers. Functional and sweet like a sugar laced phrase. Arrays. I said array. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. You got a rap song now.
Okay. It's actually pretty long.
All right, so
Wow.
you just added a new prompt to the CLI. Good job.
Sweet. And
So now you want to commit
now,
those changes and open a PR, just like you did before.
okay, so we want to do this change, and then we're gonna label it add add wrap prompt. And we're
Just make sure
gonna
you should have
put
a space between wrap and prompt. It's okay.
too late.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I know what you
And
meant.
then publish branch. But we don't want to create a pull request yet. Or do we?
We
No.
do. Let's not. Let's now though. Let's do it through the GitHub editor this time instead. So don't do it through your editor. Let's do it through the GitHub thing. So scroll up and just click auto show. Like go to the very main thing. Yeah. Um, so it doesn't do the thing because you probably weren't on the page. So this is okay. So go where it says main branch, where next to four branches, click that, and then go to TJT. Yeah,
Bam.
and then go to click to contribute. Yep, and then open pull request. Yeah, there you go. So now this is you can open
Now
the
I
pull
can put a
request.
space.
Yeah, you can. And if you scroll down, you'll see the commits. Actually, you got yeah. So there you go. And then when you create the pull request, then I'll be able to see it.
Okay. Do you want me to add a description? Oh, shouldn't I
So I'll
say
be able to edit this actually. So this is where I'm gonna write in. This is where I would put in the to dos for you here. So really, you don't need to worry so much about writing the PR descriptions because I'm gonna kind of be helping with that, and you can think of that as like your kind of instructions, and then you just have to kind of commit, and then I'll check things off as you go, or you can check them off as you go. So leave that where it is,
bam?
and then I'm just gonna move over the tasks there, and we can already check one off. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We also spelled prompt wrong.
Did I?
I'm fixing it. Don't worry.
Well,
And
I will
actually,
say that is might be one of the most annoying things is uh prompt. It's NP. There we go. Save.
don't do that. I'm editing it already.
It's doing it at the same time. It accepted your edits and let me update it.
Yeah.
Ishan, this is like pretty cool to look at. I'm excited to see how far it's gone and like what you said you've been working on this for a year now.
Yeah, I mean, I first started kind of playing around with the capabilities before I had like written any code. Like I was saying, I was kind of transcribing things and then feeding them to ChatGPT just manually. That was like over a year ago now. And then I wrote a blog post that explained the very, very basic couple components of this without all the integrations and all the other stuff. And I published that March 1st this year. And then I started the repo like a week or two after that. So yeah, it's been almost a year now.
Congratulations.
Thanks for being the first contributor.
I was gonna be like, and thanks for letting me like tag along and be like, hey, let me learn on your project, K Banks.
No, it's great. It's what open source is for. And yeah, you're gonna contribute a lot, I have no doubt. Especially because once you kind of get into the flow of it, I've tried to do my best to make the project fairly concise. Like at this point, there is quite a lot of code 'cause it does a lot of things, but most of it's fairly self-contained. So like there's like 9 LLM files, but they all pretty much work the same. And if you want an
Yeah.
LLM, all you really need to do is just explain to ChatGPT, hey, here's my code for my ChatGPT thing. I want to add AWS Nova, and it will just model it off of the code that's already written. So next time we stream, I'm going to walk you through how I actually develop and how I'll work out these different issues and stuff with like LLMs. Because now we have the issues written, we're going to be able to actually feed the context of the project and the issue to ChatGPT o1 and have it like give you a first draft of like what the code you would need to write for every single issue.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
something that I don't want to forget is now that, like, if I want to do something more on this PR,
Mhm.
oh, that's when you were like, "Hey, there's a really easy command that you can do, like, right here."
Yeah, so that will get you to this current PR, and then you can always develop here. And if you the next time you add a prompt, you can commit it and you can push it, and then it will show up and we'll both see it on the branch. And I can push to this branch also. So if you push something and I'm like, cool, this works, but I want to tweak something real quick, I can then make that change. And we could do that simultaneously as we're working on the PR. So that's why I think this is going to be the way to go for just for us two to like work on this together.
I'm updating something on the README just so that way
Yeah, and you can totally do
I
that.
wanna see.
And so this will show up now as a commit on the PR you're doing, but that's totally fine. Don't There doesn't need to be hard and fast rules about if there's like a small thing you want to change somewhere and it doesn't like fit within the PR, that's fine. Just push it. I'll always check all the commits anyway.
Yeah, this is more just because I wanna see, um, it happen, if that makes sense? Like,
Cool.
now that I'm in that PR.
Uh-huh.
Testing PR. Come on. Sync
By
changes.
the way, Ishan, I find it really funny that you're watching this through LinkedIn right now.
Um, so what oh, hey, you're right. I do definitely need to update this, but it now shows in here. Uh, and I can see the code change. Yay. And it did totally put it on this PR. Cool. I feel more confident with that, especially being able to go through these prompt options. But I will say for my own practice, I would like
Mhm.
to have you put the stuff in issues and make me get used to putting it in the PRs and creating the PRs. Even if I'm copying and pasting the issue, it at least gets me used to creating PRs, you know?
Yeah, sure, that's totally fine.
So,
Yeah, this was a good thing that my boot camp did actually. It every you had an assignment every day you had to do based on the lesson, and to submit the assignment you had to commit the project to a Git repo and then let your, instructor review it and merge the pull request for you. So they made you go through that flow every single day. So even if you were copying the code from your friend or whatever, you still had to know how to commit. There's no way to cheat on that part.
yeah. Yeah, and it's just crazy to me that I'm like, these are very basic things, but it's like when you don't do them nonstop or like get into that
Mhm.
repetition, it just doesn't click.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is at least all that I had for today,
Yeah, no,
because
I
I
think this
do
is
have issues.
a good place to stop. Yeah.
Like I need to consume this a little more and like be like, okay, poke around more.
Mhm.
But cool.
Yeah,
Well,
for
thank you
for
for
some of the
joining
other
today.
yeah, for some of the other issues, those will be ones where some of them I made them very self-contained, so I know that I can show you how to like work it out with an LLM, and it's going to give you like the right answer probably immediately. So that's good because like I have built the vast majority of this project just like iterating with LLMs, really. So I think that that's a really great way to develop, but there's like steps along the way that makes they can get in your way a lot if you don't do it the right way. But I've kind of figured out the tricks, especially with this project, in terms of like what information do I have to give it, what do I have to explain to it for it to know what I want, And then as long as you do that, it can like one shot and just literally write the entire code you would need to solve the entire issue. It's mind boggling.
Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Anthony. We'll have you on stream again, of course.
Yeah. I'm glad we're streaming again. I can host from
Yes.
mine next time if you want.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Bye.
And thanks, Ishan, for hanging out.